What are we seeing in this photo?
This photo is a picture of the lower lip of Dawson being pulled down, and we can see, again, similar to Cora, these petechial hemorrhages on the inside of the mouth.
And can you also see them on the eyes in this photo?
You can see periorbital petechial hemorrhages, yes. So the skin around the eye.
What can cause the damage being more prominent and more dispersed over the face?
Again, petechial hemorrhages occur as a result of rupturing of small vessels in the skin, and so the fact that there are more present in Dawson is indicative that this is the back of his left forearm. It is a little pale with the light, but there were 3 small bruises on the back of his left forearm.
And
we're about to hear testimony that takes the jury directly into the medical evidence surrounding Dawson Clancy's death. And this is where the courtroom record becomes especially intense. The witness is a medical examiner who examined Dawson, documented injuries across his body, and ultimately reached a conclusion about the cause of death to a reasonable degree of medical certainty. Pay close attention to what the examiner describes, because this testimony isn't simply about photographs. The questioning walks through injuries to Dawson's neck, hemorrhaging around his face and eyes, bruising on his arms and legs, and physical findings that the examiner says are consistent with oxygen deprivation. Then comes the critical question: what caused Dawson's death? The prosecution is methodically building that answer piece by piece. First, we hear about the external injuries. Then the photographs are used to show the jury exactly what the examiner observed. And as the testimony progresses, the discussion turns to the significance of the neck injury, the changes in pressure that may have occurred, and whether movement could have contributed to the observed hemorrhages. But there's another important detail here. The examiner distinguishes between observations and conclusions. Some injuries are simply documented. Others are interpreted medically. That distinction matters in a courtroom because the jury ultimately has to decide what those findings mean in the broader context of the case. And then, after all of this detailed medical testimony, the examiner gives the conclusion that prosecutors have been building toward. So listen closely. What do these injuries actually establish? What can the medical evidence prove? And what can't it prove by itself? And most importantly, how will the jury connect this testimony with everything else they've heard? Let's get into it.
did you also examine or do an autopsy on Dawson Clancy?
Yes,
And when was that?
January 25th.
And did you observe injuries on Dawson Clancy when you did the external examination?
I did observe injuries to Dawson. He had trauma to his neck with associated injuries of the head, as well as minor injuries to his left arm and his legs.
And if we could pull up photo 2166. What are we seeing in this photo?
This photo is a picture of the lower lip of Dawson being pulled down, and we can see, again, similar to Cora, these petechial hemorrhages on the inside of the mouth.
And can you also see them on the eyes in this photo?
You can see periorbital petechial hemorrhages, so the skin around the eye.
And were there also those same type of hemorrhages when you lifted the eyelid?
Yes.
And if we could have photo 2149. What are we seeing here?
Dawson on his neck, similar to Cora, had a linear, horizontally oriented ligature furrow consisting of an area of pallor around the neck. He had distinct superior and inferior edges to his furrow as well. This is on the back side of the neck, where we can also appreciate abrasions that are in line or parallel with the inferior and superior edges of the furrow.
And if we could have photo 2147, please. What are we seeing in this photograph?
In this photograph, we can appreciate the distinct area of pallor here on the neck, again representing the ligature furrow with diffuse petechial hemorrhages of the skin of the face.
And what are we seeing there on his shoulder?
This is just some dried body fluid.
And if we could see photo 2151, please. What is depicted in this photograph?
This is a similar photograph to the one just shown here, where you can see the distinct area of pallor representing the ligature furrow with superior and inferior edges, and again, the diffuse petechial hemorrhages of the face.
And these photos of Dawson's face, the petechial hemorrhaging on the face, appear to be darker than those and more expansive than those on Cora's face, correct?
They appear more prominent in Dawson than in Cora, yes.
And what can cause the damage being more prominent and more dispersed over the face?
Again, petechial hemorrhages occur as a result of rupturing of small vessels in the skin. And so the fact that there are more present in Dawson is indicative that there were moments where some blood did reach or push through the furrow or the ligature in little spikes or peaks, which would just result in momentary increases in blood pressure that would result in more petechial hemorrhages.
And what would cause that blood being able to flow?
Any movement against the carotid arteries. The carotid arteries are thicker and more muscular than the veins, so they're more likely to push through with the blood. So that could be movement of the ligature or movement of the person handling the ligature or movement of Dawson himself.
This is one of the most important explanations in the entire testimony, because the examiner is now connecting the physical evidence to a possible mechanism. The witness explains that the hemorrhages result from ruptured small blood vessels and says increased pressure can produce more prominent findings. The testimony then identifies several possible sources of movement: movement of the ligature, movement by someone handling it, or movement by Dawson himself. That distinction is crucial. Notice the language being used. The examiner is explaining what could cause the observed medical findings. The testimony itself does not automatically identify who caused that movement or establish every circumstance surrounding it. That's something the jury has to evaluate alongside the rest of the evidence. And this is where courtroom testimony can get complicated. A medical expert can explain what an injury is, how it can occur, and what the findings may indicate. But the ultimate factual conclusions about what happened are still for the jury. So here's the question. When you hear an expert describe several possible mechanisms consistent with the physical evidence, how much weight would you give that testimony? Is the medical evidence persuasive on its own? Or does it become meaningful only when combined with the other evidence in the case? Keep that distinction in mind, because moments later, the testimony moves from the individual injuries to the examiner's ultimate determination of cause of death.
So it could be from Dawson struggling, or it could be from more pressure or force of the ligature?
Yes, changes in the pressure of the ligature.
And if I could see photo 2143, please. What are we seeing in this photo?
This is the back of his left forearm. It is a little pale with the light, but there were 3 small bruises on the back of his left forearm.
And going to photo 2155. What are we seeing in this photo?
This is a picture of us. So at this position, Dawson is face down, so we're looking at the side of his right leg, and we can see a small faint bruise here.
And then going to photo 2144. What are we seeing in this photograph?
This is an up-close photograph, but I can appreciate that there are small bruises in the center of the image.
And photograph 2156. What are we seeing in this photograph?
In this photograph, we're looking at the back of the legs. The one closest to us is the left leg. The one farthest from us is the right. You can see bruises here, here, and here, as well as the inside of the right knee.
And so when you said here, here, and here, that was the outer portion of the
left upper leg.
Thank you. We could have photo 2119, please. What is depicted in this photograph?
This is an up-close photo of his hands.
And is there any significance to the blueness of the fingernails?
I would not have called these necessarily blue or cyanotic. That would be more of the discoloration of his face. There is some subtle blueness to the nail beds, which is again a sign of cyanosis, which is just reflective of a decrease in oxygen in the body.
And last photo is the PDF, please. What are we seeing here?
This image, Dawson is face up, and we can see his right and left legs. Here on his right lower leg, we see small bruises. On his left knee, we are seeing a bruise, and here is a site of medical intervention, the intraosseous catheter site.
And what are you able to tell us about the bruises on Dawson in terms of whether they're fresh or old?
They were all red and purple in appearance, so they were
After
more
several
recent.
minutes of detailed testimony about photographs, bruising, hemorrhages, and the neck injury, the questioning is finally approaching the central medical issue, cause of death. And notice how methodical the examination has been. The witness first identifies the injuries, then explains their appearance, then discusses what certain findings can indicate medically. The bruises are described as red and purple in appearance, and the examiner characterizes them as more recent. Again, that is medical testimony about the condition of the injuries. It does not, by itself, tell the jury exactly who caused them or precisely when every individual injury occurred. But the bigger picture is now coming into focus. The testimony has documented trauma to multiple areas of Dawson's body, including the neck, head, arm, and legs. The examiner has also described hemorrhaging around the face and eyes and discussed decreased oxygen in the body. And now comes the question prosecutors have been building toward. After examining all of this evidence, can the medical examiner actually determine a cause of death, and can that conclusion be stated to the required degree of medical certainty? This is the moment to listen carefully, because the next answer is not another description of a photograph. It is the examiner's ultimate medical
Purple in
conclusion.
appearance, so they were more recent.
And based on your examination of Dawson, were you able to determine a cause of death?
Yes.
And did you determine that to a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
Yes.
And what was that?
Asphyxia.
Your Honor, I'd move to submit the original photos of Cora and Dawson as for identification, and the other, the ones that were just shown to the jury as exhibits.
So mark the first set for identification.
Exhibits N and O for identification.
All right. Then over the defendant's objection, using the same analysis as stated in the sidebar, those other photographs may be admitted.
The photos of Cora and then Dawson as the next exhibits, please.
It's 228 and 229.
And then the, excuse me, that certificate of Cora Marie Clancy as the next exhibit.
I have no objection to that.
All right. That may be admitted.
And the death certificate of Dawson William Clancy as the next exhibit. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Is there anything?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Doctor. You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And that brings this portion of the testimony to a close. The medical examiner's evidence covered several distinct areas: injuries to Dawson's neck and head, hemorrhages around the face and eyes, bruising on the arms and legs, and findings the examiner associated with decreased oxygen. Most importantly, when asked directly about the cause of death, the examiner testified that Dawson's death was caused by asphyxia and stated that this conclusion was reached to a reasonable degree of medical certainty. The court then addressed the photographs and related exhibits. Despite a defense objection, the judge ruled that the photographs shown to the jury could be admitted under the same analysis discussed at sidebar. The relevant exhibits were then identified, and the death certificate for Dawson was also admitted without objection. From a courtroom perspective, this testimony matters because it gives the jury medical evidence they can evaluate alongside everything else presented in the case. But medical testimony, standing alone, does not answer every factual question. It establishes the examiner's observations and medical conclusions. The jury must ultimately determine how those findings fit into the complete evidentiary picture. So what do you think? Did this testimony strengthen the prosecution's case? And how significant do you think the medical examiner's conclusion about asphyxia is when considered with the other evidence? If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button. Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.